our next stop is insurance. Please note that the insurance code has already been amended. So there are changes now incorporated in the modified insurance code of the Philippines. It is statutorily defined as a contract or agreement where one undertakes for a consideration, so take note of the word consideration, one undertakes for a consideration to indemnify another against loss, damage, or liability, which loss, damage, or liability could arise from any unknown or contingent event. The primary law that governs insurance contracts or policies is the Insurance Code of the Philippines, but supplementary to it are the general provisions found in the Civil Code of the Philippines. That's why, because there's no specific provision under the code regarding perfection of insurance contract, we have seen jurisprudence to the effect that the Supreme Court has applied principles on perfection relevant to contracts in general. Kindly check carefully the definition. It's an agreement. One undertakes. So who is that? One that undertakes to cover loss, damage. Diba? You are letting someone cover your loss. He is your hero, rescuer, right? Insurer po ang tawag doon. And the party for whose benefit the coverage was taken is the insured. Okay? So so ang drama ni insurance company, di ba? Insurance contract, napaka-simple. Si insured may exposure. May panganib. May exposure siya. Do you get it? Sino ang kanyang tagapagligtas? Diba? Si insurer. Diba? You get the story of insurance, right? Sino ang kanyang tagapagligtas? Kasi problema niya yung loss, di ba? It's my problem. Normally, when you sustained or suffered a loss, problema mo yan. But with this business called insurance, someone is going to cover your problem. Did you get it? And he is your hero. Pero hindi po libre ang hero na to. Kaya hindi siya superhero. May bayad si hero para i-cover yung loss mo. Did you get the point? Insurer covers your loss, but for a consideration. And we call that consideration premium. So itong provision pa lang na to, ang daming chismis at kwento na pwede nating magawa. Did you get it? But basically, that's the story of insurance. Insured has panganib or exposure. You follow? It may or it may not happen. Take note, unknown or contingent event. When you say unknown contingent event, it's something that may or may not happen. Did you get it? May uncertainty, but still there is that exposure. So parang nakakatulog ka na mahimbing sa gabi, kukuha ka ng coverage. Kukuha ka ng taga-rescue. And that's your good friend called insurer. That is the story of contract of insurance. You get the picture. Okay? Elements of insurance. I followed the Supreme Court outline, by the way. Okay? So, because that's the bilin, tignan ang outline. Pero, the good news to you is the Philippine Competition Act has been taken out from the coverage of your sayang. Diba, Mr. Adin? Minemorize ko pa naman. Diba, nag-code rehash ka, perfect ka sa Philippine Competition Act. Kaya, pwede naman next year. O gusto mo i-postpone, wag. Okay. Alright. So, please take note of the following elements of insurance. Insurance has insurable interest. So, this is what is really unique about insurance contracts. So, I'm highlighting just the keywords, no? Insurable interest, we'll discuss that later, but this basically allows you to benefit from the preservation of the thing insured and you are exposed to some losses or damages should the thing be damaged or lost. Okay, so the insured is exposed to a risk of loss. Okay, the loss is what? The loss can be caused by the peril insured against. So risk of loss, but that loss can be caused by the peril insured against. Siya yung kontrabida doon sa drama natin kanina, si Peril. Right? Wag na wag yan ang ipapangalan nyo sa anak nyo, Peril, ang pangit. Peril Santiago. Oh my God. Okay, magandang name, if I may suggest. I've suggested this before sa mga estudyante ko. I like this name, really. Before kasi gusto-gusto ko Corpo, Nego, Transpo. Yung panganay ko, dapat yun ang pangalan eh. Because that was the time I started doing bar review. That was in 2003. So I was telling here, eksaktong room na to. Pag ito, buntis kasi ako noon eh. Pag ito, nanganak ako, at lalaki to, Corpo, Nego, Transpo siya. Eh, naging babae. So, buti na lang, kung pinagpilitan ko, isusumpa ako ng anak ko, Nega, Transpa, Corpa, diba? Pero marami pong pangalan sa law na legal terms na maganda. Pwede nyo i-consider para wala siyang problema, NPI, police clearance, and everything. Fiduciary is a nice name, I'm telling you. Fiduciary. Fiduciary. Pag lalaki, Fido, ang nickname. Pag babae, Shari. O, diba? Meron akong opisina, kapilido niya, Diction. Hanggang ngayon, hindi nag-aasawa. At tagal-tagal na may pangalan yung anak niya, jurisdiction. Babae, lalaki, pwede yung jurisdiction. Or you may also want ROFR or ROFO. ROFO is right of first offer. ROFR is right of first refusal. Maganda rin yung mga pangalan niya. Okay. So such assumption of risk is part of a general scheme to distribute losses among persons who have the same exposure. That's why one important attribute or characteristic of insurance is it is one which involves distribution of risk or risk distributing device. And of course, please do not forget the consideration for the assumption of liability, loss, or damage is premium recovery on the part of the insurer. So yun pong pinapasa mo kay insurer, yung risk mo, may bayad po yan because instead of you bearing the risk, you let the insurance company do it for you. The payment or the consideration due is one that we call premium. Okay? Moving on, kindly take note of the important attributes or characteristics of contract of insurance. It is a risk distributing device. It is a contract of adhesion in general, aleatory, indemnity contract, and contract of utmost good faith. So I just got the keywords, no? For your better recall. Retention is the key, I'm telling you. Because by tomorrow, kalimutan nyo na si Chea, yung si Adelina, si Filipina, at si Ophelia. Okay? Sa FRIA, maraming figures. Yung mga votes needed to carry rehab plan, renegotiated, out of work, settlement, ang daming boto na kailangan hinahanap ang law. Tingnan nyo lang yun. Kasi I'm sure pagdating sa FRIA, examiner will deal with what? Yung effects of stay or suspension order. But still, tsaka tingnan nyo yung scenario. Kailan rehab? Kailan liquidation? Ano yung involved dapat? What's the scenario, supposedly, of the debtor for him to be rehabilitated? Yun ang mga titingnan nyo. Pag si X, ganito ang kanyang financial status, ano ang pwedeng relief na hingi niya sa court to that effect. Because that's how it was presented as well during the last bar exams. No? But the unfortunate thing is that there are now a lot of cases that involve application of your FRIA. That's why I expect as well a lot of questions to be again asked, no? Well, ang nabalitaan ko kung totoo, medyo daw sa banking and PRIA. So, yun. Next week is your PRIA, right? PRIA lecture is next week. Tama po ba? Okay. So, these are the attributes that insurance contract carry. Risk distribution in the sense that, kasi ang basic question dyan, how come there are companies that offer insurance coverage? Hindi ba, alam mo yon, you are covering someone's loss. How can you survive this kind of business, right? How can you maintain this kind of business if you are covering someone's loss? And you know very well that yung term na loss is negative yan, di ba? And you let the insurance company capture your loss. Ang point po ng insurance is, that's why it's still a viable business from the perspective of business. Not everyone here who have a similar coverage with me and the insurer, not every one of you here will suffer the same loss or fate at the same time. Nagets nyo? Pero lahat kayo, nagbabayad sa akin ng premium. Kasi nga, ang liability ko kicks in only when the loss occurs. And which may or may not even happen at all. Did you get the point? May assurance ka lang, if it happens, then someone's gonna cover me. Did you get it? So, in effect, if someone unfortunately suffers a loss, right? Then, insurance company can cover that loss, but effectively that was distributed amongst you guys. Why? Because not everyone here suffered that same fate at the same time. So may pang-cover po ako. Bakit? The premiums I get from you is effectively placed in a common fund, which will cover losses or damages that one or some of you here, knock on wood, will suffer. Tapos, ang insurance po, hindi naman niya nilalagay sa ref ang pera niya. Ini-invest din po yan kung saan-saan. Did you get that? That's why, pag may ganyang mga investments, di ba, lumalaki din ang pera ng insurance company. So that's how they manage their premium recoveries. Adhesion. Insurance contract is a contract generally of adhesion, meaning to say that the terms of the policy are dictated or prepared by the insurance company, right? Naka-template po ang policy ng insurance company. Like most companies, they have template of contracts, right? Pero ang protection naman sa insured, kiniklear din yan sa insurance commission. Okay? So in a way, merong nagpupulis. Are the terms of the insurance company reasonable or not? Kasi they carry that imprimatur of the insurance commission. But that's the practice. Did you get it? So ano pong implication sa parties? If contract terms came from one of them, like here, insurance company will just provide the terms, and which the insured, okay, upon, getting into the contract, can no longer change or modify. Because he is deemed to have adhered to the policy terms. Terms he can no longer modify. Do we have a contract? Answer, yes. Is it a voidable contract just because the terms came from the insurer? No, kasi as long as hindi pinilit si policyholder, his consent cannot be considered vitiated. So is this a valid contract? Yes. In case of, enforcement, legally enforceable? Yes. By either party? Yes. By the insured? Yes. Insurer? Yes. Bakit pa natin kailangang malaman na adhesion siya? Pag po kasi may nag-surface na in ambiguity, okay? The ambiguity, following your principles of interpretation or construction, will be resolved in favor of the policyholder, insured, or his beneficiary. In the sense that the ambiguity will be interpreted strictly against the cause, the one that caused it, right? Insurer. and liberally in favor of the insured. When do we say that there is an ambiguity in a policy class? When a particular insurance provision is capable of two or more interpretations, one interpretation in favor of the insurer, another interpretation in favor of the insured. Okay? Kaya may trabaho ang mga abogado. Because of a lot of ambiguities. That's why you should be happy. Ang labo nito, attorney, no? Paano ba gagawin natin dito? Kasi kung lahat malinaw, eh wala pong lalapit sa atin. So magpasalamat kayo kay ambiguity. Okay? So yan po ang point ng is this a reasonable rule? Of course. Reasonable because the ambiguity came from the maker, who is the insured. Let's take up a few cases. Applying this rule. Eternal Gardens Memorial Park versus Phil-Am Life. Phil-Am Life and Eternal Gardens entered into an agreement which they call Creditor Life, Group Life. By virtue of this MOA or agreement, yung pong mga kliyente ni Eternal Gardens, so sila yung bumibili kay Eternal Gardens ng memorial or memorial lots, no? Okay, and because of the price that they cannot afford to pay in cash, meron pong plano itong si Eternal Gardens na pwede siyang bayaran by installments. Okay? The insurance coverage that was offered by Phil-Am Life is to cover the balance of the unpaid price of the lots. Gets? So kapag namatay, yung policy holder, magagamit na niya yung binili niya na memorial lot. Unfortunately, may balance pa siya kay Eternal Garden. So, i-cover po yan ni Phil-Am, yung unpaid balance of the lot. Get the story? Okay, you have to see the story of each case, class. Kasi as I said, ang nakikita nyo sa bar exams ay istorya lang. Tapos kayo ang magre-resolve ng mga legal issues arising from that story. That's why it's important that you are familiar with the story of the case. Okay? So the procedure that they've agreed to is for Eternal to submit to Phil-Am a list of its purchasers para updated ito si Phil-Am Life. One of the purchasers, one Mr. John Chuang, died. And accordingly, Eternal Gardens demanded payment of the remaining balance. May parang 100K pa siya na balance doon sa kanyang lot. When he died, Eternal, as a result, demanded from Phil-Am payment of the coverage, insurance coverage, because of the death of the Mr. Chuang. Tama po ba? Pero sabi po ni Phil-Am, i-deny ko ang claim na ito, which it in fact denied. Because to Phil-Am, walang perfected na insurance contract. There shall be no insurance if the application is not approved by Phil-Am. And in our record, there's no approval to that effect by Phil-Am. Since no application had been submitted to Phil-Am prior to the death of Mr. Chuang for its approval, it was submitted after his death. Mr. Chuang was not covered under its policy. Okay? Pero ang ini-insist po ni Eternal Gardens, I can recover. Because to me, covered po itong case na ito. It would appear, class, that in the MOA that they had, no, the group life agreement that they have, creditor group life agreement that they signed, may ganitong provision na nag-a-appear. And this is the provision relevant to effectivity. So, madalas po ang mga kontrata, merong effectivity clauses. So it's clear to the parties when did the contract kick in. Why is that important? Because when the contract is already effective, right, then rights and obligations can arise. That's very basic sa kontrata, right? Kung walang perfected na contract, kung hindi pa effective yung contract, rights and obligations have not yet kicked in. Ang nakasulat po dun sa policy, basahin natin, insurance of any eligible lot purchaser shall be effective. Dalawang sentences yan. At malamang abogado din ang gumawa niya. Hindi ko alam kung sinadya niya o hindi lang siya talaga marunong magawa ng kontrakta. But as you can see here, there are two sentences on effectivity that are obviously conflicting or contradicting each other. Insurance. So, anong tanong dito? When did the policy take effect? Insurance of any eligible lot purchaser shall be effective on the day that he contracts a loan with the assured. Assured is eternal. So, ano yung loan na yun? Yung balance dun sa lot. Nagets nyo ang kwento. So, ang sabi ng isang sentence, pag nakakuha at naaprubahan ng loan mo kay Eternal Garden, doon sa balance, effective na yung policy. And yet, there is another subsequent sentence that says, there shall be no insurance if the application of the lot purchaser is not approved by the company. So one says effectivity is loan obtention. Another sentence says its effectivity is upon approval by the company here is PhilAm. Kailangan ma-approve pa ni PhilAm. At yan ngayon, yung pinanghahawakan ni PhilAm in so denying the claim. Is there an ambiguity class? Yes. Are you happy about this ambiguity? Oo, kasi may trabaho tayo, di ba? Abogado din ang gumawa ko, I'm telling you. Pwedeng or nag-aabogado. Okay? So there is an ambiguity, yes. The first sentence appears to state that coverage already become effective upon contracting a loan with Eternal, while the other sentence says its effectivity requires PhilAm approval. Right? So, nagko-contra siya. Ano pa talaga, te? Ano po ang sabi ng court? So, given naman yung ambiguity na yan, di mo ma-harmonize at all, right? Court held, kasi at one point, kailangang isettle ang issue na ito, otherwise, forever na hanging tayo. Otherwise, hindi magagawa ng court ang kanyang duty, which is to interpret contracts for them, right? In case there is a disagreement. Applying principles of interpretation. Court emphasized that it must be remembered that an insurance contract is a contract of adhesion, the policy terms coming from the insurer, and therefore it must be construed liberally in favor of the insured and strictly against the insurer so as to safeguard the latter's interest. Which interpretation is more favoring the insured class? Loan has been contracted, which is already present in the instant case. Kasi may balancing na siya na 100K. Or PhilAm approving it, which is not yet present in this case because according to PhilAm, there's no application to that effect submitted to it for its approval. Court held, it's possible, okay, the possible take on this is so as to not unduly prejudice the claim of the insured, which is Eternal Gardens. Purchase of memorial land on installment from Eternal. An insurance contract covering the lot purchaser is already created and the same is effective and valid until terminated by PhilAm life. Okay, so yan po ang naging ruling ng court. Effectively saying that since the first sentence had already kicked in, which is loan having been obtained by the deceased lot purchaser, then for all intents and purposes, the policy had already become effective. But which policy continues to be effective until PhilAm disapproves it? So, doon papasok yung approval. Second sentence statement. Did you get that? Because that interpretation, according to the court, is more favorable to the insured. Inaction of the insurer on the application should not prejudice Eternal Gardens. It cannot be interpreted as a termination of the insurance contract. The termination of insurance contract must be explicit and unambiguous. That is how the Supreme Court resolved the instant issue, which involves ambiguity in the insurance policy. Clear? Okay. Basta huwag yung kakalimutan yung principle, admission. Pag may ambiguity, resolve against the insurer. Another case on ambiguity, pakiremind ako, may babalikan ako na projector na slide, ha. This was ponente of this is your chair. Insular Life Assurance Company versus Paz Y. Ku. Kamag-anak siya ni Kuwa kahapon sa isang case natin. Felipe applied for reinstatement of his policy and paid premium therefore. He was advised, however, by the insurance company that you need to pay additional premium for your policy to be restored or reinstated. He paid additional premium on December 27, 1999, sorry. Felipe. Bayad premium, 1999. Okay? Clear? Yun. On January 7, 2000, Insular Life issued an endorsement which carries the following statement. Basahin niyo pong mabuti. Okay? Nagets nyo? Babalikan natin yan mamaya. Kasi merong ambiguity na naman dyan sa sentence na yan. Okay? So, ang issue po dito is the date when the policy was reinstated. Why is this a material issue? For purposes of contesting the policy, when did the 2-year period to contest kick in? So, let's just focus on the interpretation of this policy. 2-year period to contest the policy, life insurance, kailan siya nagsimula? Okay? Maliwanag. So, theory of the insurance company is that reinstatement is on December 27, 1999 when the additional premium was paid. If this is what we're going to follow, insurer can still contest because the 2-year period has not yet kicked in. But beneficiaries contend that effectivity was on June 22, 1999, which is as stated in the endorsement, right? So, if this is what we're going to follow, insurer can no longer contest kasi mas earlier than December 27, 1999. Did you get that? So, which contention was sustained by the Supreme Court class? The later or latter contention, which is June 22, 1999. First and foremost, because it is more favorable to the insured or his beneficiaries. Kasi kung iti-take down na June 22, tapos na yung contestability period. If we follow the December 27, 1999 as the effectivity date, contestability period is still, the period to contest is still good. Did you get it? But still, may nakita ang court na obscurity on the endorsement itself, which is what was shown earlier to you. May nakalagay dyan, totoo, effective 22 June 1999. Did you get that? Merong effectivity date, June 22, 1999. Nakalagay doon, first clause, reinstatement of the policy has been approved by the company. Okay? But may succeeding clause on the effect, understanding that following changes are made on the policy effective June 22, 1999. So, there's this argument now. Yung June 22 na yan refers to the effectivity of the changes kasi meron mga nabago sa status, employment ng policyholder. Saan daw ba nagpe-pertain yung June 22, 1999? Eh baka hindi naman yan ang effectivity na minimit ni insurer, but effectivity of the changes on the policy. Did you get the issue on interpretation? In the endorsement, obscurity is patent. In the first sentence of the endorsement, it's not entirely clear whether the phrase effective June 22, 1999, refers to the subject of the sentence, which is reinstatement of this policy, in which case the beneficiary's contention will be legally in order, reinstated siya, as early as June 1999. Or to the subsequent clause, which is changes on the policy. In which case, walang basis yung claim ng beneficiaries that the intended reinstatement is June 22, 1999. As it would just pertain to the changes, modifications appearing in the information part of the policy. Okay? So ano po ang sabi ng Supreme Court? Court held we should resolve it again in such a way that we would be able to make good claim of the beneficiary, because that interpretation is what is more favorable to the insured. June 22, 1999, as stated in the endorsement. Notwithstanding obscurity. Obscurity we resolved in favor of insured. More than 2 years had lapsed from the time the subject insurance policy was reinstated, vis-a-vis the death of the insured. Accordingly, the policy is now beyond contest. Okay, incontestability therefore kicks in. Insurer must pay the beneficiaries of the policy. Are we clear? Okay. So kindly check also aleatory nature of contract of insurance. Civil law defines an aleatory contract, 2012. Civil law defines aleatory contract as one where the insurance company, where a party commits to give or do something in consideration of what the other will give or do, but upon the happening of an event which may or may not happen. So does this perfectly match or fit our concept of insurance? Answer is yes. Reason is because the insurer's obligation to cover the loss, liability, or damage of the policyholder kicks in only upon the happening of what? Peril. Siya yung kontrabida doon sa istorya natin. Peril insured against. Okay? One thing that you should always bear in mind, class, is that contract of insurance is one that covers indemnity. By the word indemnity means that you cannot recover from the insurance company more than your actual loss or damage. Insurance is not a device that is intended to enrich the policyholder. Hindi po pinagkakakitaan ng insurance. Hindi po siya yung parang nanalo ka sa loto. Did you get that? That is why basic requirement of every insurance contract is that the one insuring must have insurable interest in the subject matter of the contract. Because if he has no insurable interest in the object of the contract, then there is nothing to cover. Wala kang risk. And you have no potential loss at all. Sa insurance, ang policy natin is what? You can only recover because of your loss. Premise upon what? You have a loss because you have insurable interest in the thing that was lost. And insurance will just cover your loss. If your loss is 1 million, you can only recover 1 million. Ganun prinsipyo. You cannot recover 1.5, 2M, 3M. Why? Because that's beyond your loss. Otherwise, lahat na lang po magagamble sa insurance contract. And anyone can just insure anything at his pleasure. Kasi pinagkakakitaan ang insurance contract. That's why one important and basic attribute of insurance is it is one that will just cover your loss. Indemnity is the right word. And lastly, insurance class requires utmost good faith, especially on the part of the insured, because he is the one that has exposure to risk. Okay? So, utmost good faith requires the policyholder to disclose all information, material, and necessary for the insurance company to be able to assess or estimate the risk. and decide correctly and intelligently, is this person worth melting for? Do you get that? That's Olaf again. Ika. Okay? Kasi kung high risk si insured, pwede pong hindi ituloy, hindi mag-proceed yung insurance contract. Kasi baka ikamatay din niya ng insurance business. Did you get it? Or, insurance company should require higher consideration for taking the risk. Are we clear? So that is the rule on utmost good faith. Sa kontrata naman, civil law says every person in a contractual arrangement is obligated to observe due diligence, good faith. But when it comes to insurance, because this entails assumption of risk, higher degree or level of good faith is necessary. That's why yung policy natin on honesty, disclosure, concealment, misrepresentation, we really take seriously situations like this. Because the requirement of the law is one of utmost good faith. Hindi po siya well-defined under the law in the same way that extraordinary care is not well-defined under your civil code, but it will be taken by the court on a case-to-case basis. So again, maganda na naman yan because you can argue your case well based upon the circumstances that were presented in the facts of the case. Okay? So, contract of insurance is perfected upon the meeting of the minds as between the parties. In the old ruling of the Supreme Court, Enriquez v. Sun Life Insurance Company, if the policyholder's application has been approved already by the insurance company, such approval per se will not render the contract perfected, but it is the communication to the proposer, right, or the insured, the supposed insured, which will make a contract of insurance perfected. So this follows your civil law cognition principle or theory, unless and until communicated to the policyholder class, there is no insurance contract to begin with. Contract is not perfected. Ano pong implication yan? Kapag may nangyari kay policyholder, kung siya ang subject matter ng insurance, or if something happens to the thing insured, prior to communication of the acceptance of the application, kahit accepted na ha, kahit approved na ha, is there liability on the part of the insurance company? Answer, there's not. Reason, basic, no juridical tie, no perfected contract, no rights and obligations have been acquired till contract is perfect. Basic po yan, civil law. Civil law is your next subject. After, a tax pa pala. Objects. Kunyari lang, tinitignan ko lang po. Mahirap ang tax ha. Kaya nga siya taxation eh, di ba? Pero kaya-kaya nyo ang tax, I'm telling you. Kindly note that parties to insurance contract, please take note only corporation, partnership, association, duly authorized to transact. Wala diyang proprietor. Wala diyang natural person. This is your insurance code as amended. Tapos kailangan may license ka to do so. Insurance business is imbued with public interest. Under the corporation code, an insurance company cannot be registered as a closed corporation. Why? Because the business is imbued with public interest. Okay? Alright. So, pakicheck po yan na corporation, partnership, association. Then requirement, license to transact insurance business in the Philippines. Okay? Our next stop will be insurable interest. Very important part of your law, insurable interest. But before we proceed to that, let us take a short break. So, bisilip kasi si Kelsey. Announcement, the owner of Avanza what is this? WOX or WDX 545. Naka-hazard daw po. Owner of Avanza. I don't know if it's WOX or WDX 545. Naka-hazard po yung car nyo. Thank you.